Hello everyone, how are you? Today I'll show you how I animated this dog, from making this reveal animation, adding a squash effect to animating the ropes using physics. I'll be using this low poly version, but you could model a more complex scene. Okay, let's begin. Let's cover the modeling process real quick. I used a cube to model one plank and I added a cylinder to model one dog leg. I used an array modifier for both objects and I also used a mirror modifier for the legs. After applying the modifiers and separating the meshes by loose parts, I changed the object's origins. For the planks, I changed the origin to the bottom of each plank. I'm just gonna show you a few, but I did this with all of them. And I did the same for all the legs as well. I left these two pairs of legs joined together, but I separate them later when I needed to. You'll see that later in the video. First, let's create the overall animation. Select all the objects and in frame 1 insert a location keyframe. This is gonna be the final position. Duplicate that keyframe. I'm gonna choose frame 10. Move everything up. And now move everything to the side. And insert a location keyframe. Now I need to choose where I want my objects to appear. I want them to appear while they are going up. Insert a scale keyframe, go back one frame, scale to 0 and insert a scale keyframe. Now we can create a cascade or offset effect. First, let's do it with the dog legs and later with the planks. The first pair of legs start the animation in frame 1, so I moved the playhead 5 frames and I moved the keyframes of the second pair of legs to that frame. And I did the same for the other legs. Move 5 frames, select the third pair of legs, move their keyframes. Let's repeat with the remaining legs. Let's take a look. The ending is too slow, so let's move the final keyframe of all the legs. And now it looks fine. Then I tried to decide where to start the plank's animation, taking the leg's position into account. I chose a frame where the first pair of legs was already placed. Let's make the end a bit faster, and now move all the plank's keyframes to our chosen frame. And again move 5 frames, and move the second plank's keyframes. And repeat. Let's take a look. I want the planks to appear a bit sooner. Then I selected everything, I selected all the keyframes and I changed their interpolation mode. You could change the async mode if you like. Let's try this one for example. Let's try another one. I'm gonna stick with this one, but for the planks I want a bounce effect for the last 2 keyframes only. Select the last 2 keyframes and choose bounce effect. See the difference? Let's repeat the process with the other planks. I'm gonna change the small legs interpolation mode because the squash effect we're about to make is not going to look good with the current interpolation mode. For this squash effect, let's place the 3D cursor on this leg and add a bone right there. In edit mode, scale it and place it if needed. Back to object mode, select this leg, select the armature tool, and parent with automatic weights. Add a maintain volume constraint to the bone, choose the Z axis and let's try it out. And it's working fine. Let's see where I want this squashing to start. Insert a scale keyframe, move one frame forward, scale the bone down a bit and insert a scale keyframe. And copy the first scale keyframe. Let's see. I'm gonna move the first two keyframes. Now let's move the second keyframe one frame only. And we need to move the keyframes until the squash looks natural with the location movement that the legs also make. The squash should happen once the leg is on the ground. The leg's final location keyframe is at frame 26, and that's where I placed the bone's first keyframe. Then I duplicated the bone to animate the left leg. Let's place the bone in edit mode, and back to object mode we need to parent it. And now we need to duplicate these two bones to animate the other legs. And remember to see where the leg's last keyframe is and place the first bone's keyframe there. And repeat. Let's see. Now let's model the rope. Take the 3D cursor to the world origin and add a circle. Move the circle to the side and add an empty. Add an array modifier and pick the empty as the object offset. Let's move this one a bit more and we need 4 circles. Rotate the empty to -90 degrees and set the circle's origin to the 3D cursor which is in the middle. And you should have a shape like this one. I'm gonna scale the circle up a bit in edit mode. And in object mode, scale both the circle and the empty if needed. And now we need a screw modifier to create the rope. In edit mode, I'm gonna rotate the circle 45 degrees on the x-axis to get this kind of shape. To create the rope along the legs, we need to add a curve right here. I chose a circle to make it easier for the curve to go around the leg. In edit mode, scale it, place it, subdivide it, and we need to break this circle up, so select 2 points and separate. And delete this curve we just separated. Back to edit mode, duplicate the broken circle and take it to the other leg and rotate it so the open sides of both curves are in front of each other. Now we need to connect both sides. Select one point of each circle and F to fill. Subdivide and add a curve modifier to the circle we used to model the curve. Select this curve as the curve object, change to the Z axis, and we need to scale both the circle and the empty we used to create the rope. Remember to apply the curve's location, and now both the rope and the curve have their origin in the same place, which is the word origin. And now add iterations to the screw modifier. Let's scale the circle and the empty until they look okay. Now in edit mode, by extruding and moving the points, we can model the curve so we have a rope around both legs. Here we need more rope, so let's go back to object mode and add more iterations to this object. I decided to create a knot on both ends, but you could make a more simple shape. Let's create the knot now. And again, we need more rope to continue working on the other side. And now we need some subdivisions between these 2 points because this part looks too stiff. Let's take these points closer to the leg. And now we need a few more points in the middle so we can take the rope down so it looks more natural. Let's make the final refinements. Okay, now I need to separate these legs, so they become two separate objects. In a new collection, I placed the curve, the circle, and the empty I used to create the rope. Let's duplicate the rope and also take it to this new collection. We're gonna need the curve later for the rope physics, and I always suggest not deleting the curves or the objects with modifiers because you might need them later. And now we can apply the modifiers on this duplicate. In Edit mode, enable X-ray mode and select half of the rope and separate it by selection. Select the other half and press Ctrl H and hook to new object. Let's repeat with the other half rope. Now select this empty, select this leg and parent object. Let's test it and repeat with the other side. And now everything is animated. If you're a bit of a perfectionist, you can feel the open edges of the rope. I did this only to one half since the other one wasn't visible from my camera angle. I also filled these edges. And like I said, you could do the same to this other half. Now it's time for creating rope physics. For that, we need to take the 3D cursor to where this curve's origin is to avoid any problem. Add a cube. I'm gonna change its visibility and hide in renders. In Edit mode, let's scale the cube down and move this face. Add a few loop cuts. And we need a curve modifier and set this curve as the curve object and add an array modifier. I need to make the cube smaller so it's closer to the rope. Simulations might not work if the cube's size is too small or too big. I'm gonna delete a few faces so the object matches the curve's length perfectly. Let's duplicate this cube to save a copy with the modifiers just in case. Apply the modifiers. Now this cube needs a soft body simulation. Let's see. We need to create a vertex group and select the sides in Edit mode so the sides don't move. Assign. And select that vertex group. Okay, it's a work in progress. Here I selected more faces, trying to avoid that weird movement on the right side, and I went back to edit mode a few times. And finally, I set the strength to 1, and that fixed my problem. So I removed some faces from that vertex group to add a bit more movement to the rope, and this is my final vertex group for the rope. And here it is. Since I wanted the physics to start once the legs were placed, I set the start for the simulation to frame 51 and I set the end at frame 100. And I baked the simulation. Let's see. Now we need to transfer this simulation to the rope. We need another duplicate of this rope and apply the modifiers. And as you can see, this rope's origin is in the same place as the cube's origin. Add a mesh deform modifier, set this cube as the object and hit bind. If you get an error message, try recalculating normals, and here it is. If it's not working, you might need to make the cube smaller or bigger. Now I need to hide the half ropes and show this rope with the soft body simulation. The legs animation ends at frame 51, so I insert a scale keyframe for the soft body rope here. One frame before, scale it to 0 and insert a scale keyframe. In frame 50, set a scale keyframe for both half ropes. And one frame after, scale to 0 and set a scale keyframe. And here it is. The half ropes disappear at one point, and the soft body rope appears. Now we need to take this animation to the other side, and all we need to do is add a mirror modifier to all of our ropes. I'm planning on creating more animated objects like this one and like the building from my last video. So let me know if you enjoy these kind of tutorials. As always, thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!